I'm going to talk about Hadassa Undiagnosed Patient Program. The reason that we have this program is because we have, of course, many patients, and we wanted to name the disease, assuming that somehow we can help them. Now, here is the problem that we were facing. You probably, no, you're too young, but some of you will still remember how in June 2000, President Clinton announced that the first draft of the human genome is completed. That is to say that the order of the sequence of the DNA is now known. And everybody celebrated it, and you know, he was even, whoever took the laser should better bring it back. And at that, I managed. So the sequence of the letters of the DNA, you know there are 4 letters, A, C, G, and T. The sequence became known for the entire DNA. Jorge, if you find the laser, it would be an excellent idea. And President Clinton celebrated, and all of us as well. But in truth, we knew that there are genes within the DNA. We knew where they are. But for about 50% of them, we didn't know what they're doing. So that was rather unfortunate, because there stood our patients, there stood the genes, and how can we identify the mutation in our patient, and how do we connect a gene which we don't know what it does to a patient with disability which we don't know how to distinguish from other disabilities. So this was actually the goal and the aim that we had with the undiagnosed patient program. Now, in Jerusalem, we are both fortunate and unfortunate. And let me explain that easily. We are mainly seeing patients with recessive conditions. Recessive conditions means that the father in here, the mother in there, each one of them carry a defect, but is healthy because his other copy of the gene, this one in the father and this one in the mother, are okay. So parents are carrying the mutation, but they're fine. They do have, sometimes transmit the defect to the patients from both sides. It would be fantastic if I could only show them. And the patient who has now two copies of the defect is, of course, affected. Okay? Up to now, everything goes well. Now, the patient would have, in such case, the same defect from both parents. That can happen sometimes. When would a person have exactly the same defect from both parents? Can you, yeah, that is also good. Thank you. Eventually. When would the patient has the same defect from both sides? Yeah, excellent. Now we're done. So let me just repeat this slide. So this is a recessive condition. The parents, the mother here, the father here, each one of them is carrying a mutation, a genetic defect, and each one of them is completely healthy because he's protected by the second copy. Okay? Sometimes both of them transmit the genetic defect to the child. The child will have two copies and therefore will be sick. But you know, the DNA contains 3 billion letters. So to have exactly the same mutation in the same letter of the DNA, how can it happen? By random. 1 out of 3 billion. It would not work. It can work only in one condition. If there was a grandfather, or a great-grandfather, or a great-great-grandfather, who was a carrier for this mutation. Now, of course, he was healthy, because he had another copy to protect him. His wife was definitely healthy because she has 2 normal copies. They had 2 daughters. The daughters got from him the defect, both of them, but they were healthy, of course, because they got another healthy copy from mom. Okay? Now these 2 sisters married nice men, gave birth to a boy here and a girl here. They got the same mutation. Still, they were healthy. These are first cousins. Okay? They know that they're each other. They know that they are first cousins. Now imagine that this would go for another generation of 2 or 2. The mutation would be transmitted again and again, but people will remain healthy until they will meet each other in the pub in downtown Mexico City, not knowing even that they are third-degree cousins. And then, unfortunately, they will try to have a child, and both of them would give the mutation. If you look at this map, you know, when you are Israeli, the map is always with Israel in the middle. I think when you are from Latin America, it's probably looking different. Anyway, this is the map of consanguinity. This is the map of marriage within families. And you can see that Israel is rather dark. This is because in some of the communities, both Jewish and Arabs in Israel, people still practice first and second cousin marriage. I think at about even to 50% of the young couples would marry within the family in some of the communities. I see that some of you are making but in fact it's not our business. We are not there to tell people what to do. We are there to help them to prevent disease. And I remember my job in this business. Okay, but this is why in Israel we see many patients. So let me now take you a little bit into a journey into the DNA. So I told you before that in the DNA there are genes. But in fact, every gene is made of exons and introns. The exons is the important part because this is the part that will make proteins later on. And so we have a strategy. We are looking only at the exons, and this is 1% of the entire DNA, of the entire genome. But about 80% of the mutation which cause disease are in the exons. So it's a good deal. You determine the sequence of only 1% of the DNA, so it's cheap, and still you diagnose about 80% of the patients. We call this analysis exome, because we are reading all the exons together, one after the other. And the way we do it is that Hadassa purchased recently a new deep sequencing machine. This is called the NovaSeq, and this is the most advanced technology for reading DNA. The machine can read the DNA of 300 patients in 27 hours. So, you know, it's fantastic because one day we prepare the DNA, next day we put it into this washing machine, and the third day we have diagnosis for 300 patients, more or less. And the way we do is that we take the exons and we put them into the machine, and the machine returns to us the sequence of each exon. Now what we have to do, we have to see if this is the correct sequence or there is a mistake there. So what we are doing is that we take the reference, these are the exons, and here is the patient DNA, the fragments of the DNA, and we look and we compare to see whether this is okay. Let me zoom in so you will see what I mean. What you would expect to see in this piece of DNA is GAGG. Great, the patient has GAGG, GAGG. You know, the machine keeps going back and forth, so it reads many times every spot. And all of you can see that here you should have a G, but in fact the patient has A. And he has A throughout because both parents gave him the A. If only one parent would give him the A, I will see it only in half of the reads. So this is the way, that's what we are doing every morning. For 95% of the genetic disease, we still don't have a therapy. And this is the vast majority of patients. So this is an exceptional story which says that, yes, try to have a diagnosis. If you have a diagnosis, maybe this year, maybe next year, someone will come up with a solution. So by now, we have identified 100 genes. We celebrated in November our gene number 100. So this means that out of those 50% of genes that no one knew what they're doing, we now have 100 that were discovered at Hadassa. I mean, they were discovered by Clinton, but we just told the world what they are doing and what happens if you have a defect in them. And that's important, because if one day someone comes with gene therapy, we can show him where exactly we want the fixing. And at Hadassa we now have 5,000 exomes. Some of them are Jewish exomes from Mexico, so you also have your part in our collection. And at the moment we have about half-half Jews and Arabs. Among the Jews we have about 45% mixed, because you know Jewish people in Israel are not asking where your grandparents came from, they just get married. And about 40% Ashkenazi, and the rest are distinctive communities. For example, Moroccan Jews, 5%. And we're still able to keep this collection. It's very important because there are variants which are specific for every community. They're not causing disease. They're just characteristic of this community because people have passed them through the generation. And now I'm coming to my next issue, and that's the reason why I'm here tonight. So in the last year, we received exome analysis from 3 patients from Latin America. And we found in them 2 different diseases. In each case, the patient had exactly the same mutation from both parents. Now, these are parents that tell you we are not related. But that brought us to the understanding that the community, as long as it married with inside the community and does not get married with people from the outside, which is what happened with Jews in Latin America, keeps the good genes, and you know, you are a great community, you have excellent and very good and very beautiful genes, but also the genes with the defects. And people are healthy because they only carry them, and they don't know it, and of course they are not responsible for that. Yet, if 2 carriers are meeting, they will have 25% chance of having a child with this disease. And I'm talking of 2 diseases. One of them is a disease which the patient look completely normal at birth, but then after a short while, they stop developing. And they get episodes where they really become extremely ill during febrile illnesses. And we see that as they grow up, their development is arrested. So this is a disease where we don't want to see the 2nd and 3rd child, and we think that there is a chance that this will happen if people will continue having children in this community without knowing that they are carriers. What do we do when we find a couple that both parents carrying the genetic defect? First of all, we sit and talk. And we listen to what do they want, and we tell them that it's not their fault. It's the community which kept it inside and did not assimilate. That's the price of Lolit Bolel. This very small price, because you are a wonderful community, but yes, there is a price. As an Ashkenazi who carries probably 6 defects, I can tell you, it's not that bad. Just know about it, and so you can protect yourself and have healthy children. So what do we do with these couples? We ask them whether they want to have a prevention of the birth of such children before pregnancy, namely a test tube pregnancy, IVF, when we check to see whether the fetus is having the disease or not, and we return to the woman only those fetus which do not have. That's one option. And the second option is to start a pregnancy, and then on week 11, to check whether the baby is going to be affected or not, and if he's going to be sick and the family wish to do so, they can stop the pregnancy. Now, I must say that I'm coming from a very religious society, both Jewish and Arab. Arabs are very strict and have their regulation, and all of the religious authorities agree on the needs of screening and on the need of advising couples that carry the same genetic defect about future pregnancies. Some very ultra-Orthodox, we say only test tube. Some would say it's okay, but until week 12. So that's something that should be coordinated between the couple and the treating physicians. But the possibility for prevention is there. Couples who carry the same mutation will have healthy children. What I'm trying to do here is to prevent the birth of the first child for a couple who do not know about it. I think this message is very clear. Simple blood test if you are marrying to a person from the same community. By the way, it doesn't have to be Syrian Jews. Two Ashkenazi Jews are also going through a test for genetic defects, and we have way too many. Now to the second point, which I need to emphasize. I am not sure that the Syrian Jewish community has only 2 diseases. The fact that we discovered only 2 means that we started looking only a couple of months ago, and that we didn't see more sick babies with disease number 3 or 4. I think carefully that perhaps for the next year or 2, couple who are coming from the same community, maybe the husband and the wife should have exome analysis just to see all the genes and to see if there is something else that is running in this community. Once we have 20, 30 such couples, I think we will be more relaxed to say yes, only these 2 genetic conditions. So I thought of it as a wedding gift, that you can give the 2 youngsters exome analysis. It's not that expensive compared to the price of weddings. And doing that, you can secure completely, because we would look to see if there is anything we should warn them about, even before the first pregnancy. So that should not go forever. It should go, I believe, for a year or 2 until we have a better understanding of what's going on.
¿Cuál es la postura de la religión respecto a esos tratamientos? Y les lo quiero decir categóricamente. No solamente que está permitido hacerlo, sino que es una responsabilidad moral de hacerlo. Uno puede tener que se le reclame las consecuencias de poderlo haber evitado y no lo hizo. Mucha gente diría, bueno, pero si así quiso Dios, ¿por qué tengo que yo indagar y hacer todo eso? Entonces también, cuando uno tiene una enfermedad, que no vaya al doctor, porque así quiso Dios, entonces ¿para qué va a ir? Justamente la Torah dice, verapó y erapé, hay una indicación que uno tiene obligación de hacer todo lo que está a su alcance para prevenir enfermedades. Dios nos dio la inteligencia, nos dio el libre albedrío para usarlo justamente de esa manera. Así como está escrito como una obligación, que si uno construye una casa, tiene que poner una barda, así dice la Torah, que o si no va a ser responsable, si Dios no lo quiere, alguien se cae de la terraza, uno va a decir, bueno, yo qué culpa tengo, así Dios quiso. No, tú no pusiste una barda y lo provocaste. Y de la misma manera tenemos que entender que si tuvimos esa oportunidad, Dios dio la inteligencia, y tenemos doctoras como la doctora aquí presente, que puede hacer esas investigaciones y tener la posibilidad de prevenir y de evitar un mal, todo el sufrimiento y lo que eso genera. Dios no lo quiera, unos padres tener hijos con defectos, con problemas, el desgaste, y poderlo haber evitado por hacerse una prueba, yo creo que es una obligación moral. Y quiero comentar, lo platicábamos ahorita con el presidente Max, de que justamente se presentó, hay una organización que está presentando este proyecto en México, Montesinay lo apoyó, y se va a fomentar porque es algo muy importante. De verdad tenemos que decir gracias a Dios que tenemos esas oportunidades, y yo soy el primero que me apunto si puedo hacerlo. La verdad, y lo digo en serio, dice, quiero que quede muy claro, Y si oyen por ahí alguna opinión que diga que no, me gustaría discutirlo con él y traigo las fuentes. Bien, les voy a decir hasta más. Justamente acabo de grabar un programa, que lo estoy grabando cada 2 semanas, y estos 2 números va a ser sobre el aborto, que lo acabo de grabar. Y menciono que hay una opinión muy importante de grandes rabinos de hoy, que ante una enfermedad genética, hay una de los que los Yiddish la tienen, los Ashkenazim, se llama Taizdax, que él opina que incluso hasta el 7º mes, que es lo máximo, se puede llegar a abortar cuando se detecta esa enfermedad. Entonces, ni hablar, sí, según casos extremos. Es una opinión muy importante de un gran rabino, de Tzitz Eliezer, y hasta ni hablar si se puede llegar por las consecuencias a abortar, ni hablar que se puede prevenir, me refiero que está permitido evitar traer un niño al mundo con esas circunstancias. Bueno, es un tema muy extenso. Yo nada más quería felicitar de verdad de corazón porque tenemos esta oportunidad que nos presenten esto a todos los organizadores, los dirigentes del Hospital Hadassa, por toda esa aportación. Todos sabemos ese dicho, que el que salva una vida es salvar a un mundo entero. Eso es por una parte. Y por otra parte, el valor más importante que hay en todos los preceptos de la religión es cuidar la salud. Ese es el primero. ¿Cómo sé eso? Kippur es el día más santo que tenemos en el año, más sagrado, pero que está más que Kippur es si hay riesgo, si pone en riesgo la salud. Shabbat, Kippur, todos los preceptos de la Torah se dejan de lado por proteger la salud. Quiere decir que es el valor más importante, lo más sagrado.